So, today I'm going to be talking about the topic on the screen right here. Do you need to understand fundamentals? Do you need understand? I missed a word here, but do you need to understand fundamentals to trade? Now, this is a question that I've heard a lot of traders discuss, talk about. It's something that I questioned when I first began trading. Do I need to understand fundamentals or can I just use technical analysis to trade? And to cut a long story short, I think the answer is no. No, you do not need. You don't need fundamentals to trade, right? You can become a trader and you can make a lot of money without understanding fundamentals, right? So the short answer is no. You don't need fundamentals, right? So you don't need fundamentals, okay? You don't need them. But with that being said, I use fundamentals. In other words, what I mean by I use fundamentals is I've put in time to study and understand fundamentals such as the various economic reports, how the macro economy works, how different correlations in the economy function, how the interest rates impact the US dollar, how the strength of the US dollar is going to impact gold, the stock market, so on and so forth. And understanding the interrelations between all of these things so that you can have an economic outlook, an economic picture. Um, and I use those tools and I find that fundamental analysis is a very useful tool that can take your trading to the next level. So no, you do not need it. But can it be useful? In my opinion, it can be extremely useful, but can be very, very helpful. So I'll run through some examples of why, just of showing you how helpful it can be, right? So this is the short answer. Do you need to understand fundamentals to trade? No, you don't need fundamentals to trade. You can just use technical analysis. But in my opinion, the way I trade, fundamental analysis is exceptionally useful. Exceptionally useful. And it's really one of the factors. There's a number of factors that took my trading from, you know, relatively profitable to a lot more profitable. And one of those factors was deciding, you know what, I'm going to pull on every single lever I can. And the lever that I'm going to pull on this time is I'm going to begin to research, understand, study fundamentals, and that pulling that lever has definitely improved my trading by a few percent and has made me 100% just more profitable. Um, so I would highly recommend gaining an understanding of how to do fundamental analysis and then how to use that fundamental analysis to adjust your trading. So I'm going to go through some examples, right? So let's just get rid of these, right? And we'll just look at the charts first. So you're looking at the charts here, and what I'm seeing is that this is the 1 hour chart, and this is XAU USD gold spot against US dollar, right? So you can see that we have clear bullish market structure, right? We're trending upwards in this move here. Now, can I take trades in here without having a single ounce of understanding of fundamentals? Absolutely. Of course I could, right? I think there is potentially a trade when price retraced here. Okay, I think there's potentially a trade when price retraced here. In fact, I know there was, right? And that's all good and well. I could. But if you also zoom out, you'll see that price was at this 4 hour previous high, right? So purely using technical analysis, I know that I would be considering, okay, price might react off of this high. Perhaps I'm buying slightly high in this 4 hour range, okay? And perhaps I would be slightly tentative. But once I consider the fundamentals, I think it begins to put things in perspective, and it can help influence, it can help give you a bias, help give you a reading of the sentiment, of the gauge of the market. Okay, and this, I'll give you a perfect example of here over this last couple of days on gold, right? So first and foremost, I use this website right here, Forex Factory. Okay, now what Forex Factory does is it compiles all the data, all the economic report releases for a week, right? So you can see here, this is Wednesday, November 30th. You can see here that the red folders are the high impact news. And you can see for the US dollar, there was this ADP non-farm employment change, prelim GDP, there was Judge job openings, there was a Fed Chair Powell speaking. Okay, so there was a lot of red folder high impact news on this day, Wednesday, 30th of November. Now, I'm not going to go into what each one means. That's for you to do in a separate video. That's for me to perhaps do in a separate video, and that's for you to do your own research on. I would recommend going to this website, looking at some of the major news releases, right, that are red folder, on pick a currency for the US dollar, and begin to understand some of these, begin to piece things together. You know, find some resources where you can begin to understand fundamentals. It's a slow process to build up the knowledge to really understand these things, right? So what happened on this day, Wednesday, I was paying attention to the data releases, right? I saw that this data release came out red. It was basically, you know, it was negative for the US dollar. The same with GDP. The GDP came out positive. Okay, so we got some mixed signals here, right? Judge job openings came out as kind of neutral to positive, so on and so forth. So we kind of had some mixed data here. Overall, GDP is a very important data figure. So I knew that this was most likely going to hold more weight with a positive reading. So I kind of took away from a few of these points. All right, we've got some positive US dollar news, right? However, we had right here on Wednesday, 30th of November, Fed Chair Powell speaking. Now, Fed Chair Powell, he's the chair of the Federal Reserve, and so he's the main speaker. And what he says is very, very impactful on the economy, right? So he dictates. He's the primary dictator of, you know, what's going to be the interest rates, how they're going to deal with money supply, just the monetary policy in general. He is the chairman, right? So what he says, it holds a lot of weight, okay? And currently, in the current macroeconomic environment, we're going through a federal rate hike cycle, okay? And what he says and the information that he puts out is going to be absolutely pivotal in how the economy moves, right? So I was paying attention to what he said, and I took track of some of the notes in this economic report that I always write during the week, right? And I took some note of some of the things he said. You know, he said, for example here, slowing down at this point is a good way to balance risk, okay? And he made various other comments. I tracked the comments, I took what he said, and basically I'm processing the information that's coming out from these economic reports. If there's any major headlines, if there's any major news, I'm looking at what, you know, in this case, what Powell is saying, and I'm processing that information. And from there, I'm creating a sentiment, and I'm allowing all of this fundamental news to help impact how I'm viewing the market and the sentiment that I'm seeing. And of course, I like to see technical analysis line up with the sentiment. Okay, so it's not an easy process to understand fundamentals. It takes time to learn the skill of fundamental analysis. But once you begin to understand it, it's quite an easy task, right? I primarily just use Forex Factory. Right here on the main page, right? I'm going to get, right here on the main page, I'm going to get all of the economic report releases that are important for any day, any month. I can go click through all of them. I'm going to see major news releases. You can see major news releases that are in red folder. I'm going to pay attention to all these things, right? And I'm essentially going to allow that to help impact or help decide what my sentiment, what my idea is, and help adjust my trading accordingly, right? So the example that I said was essentially, we had some dovish comments from the Fed, right? And if you have no idea what I'm talking about with these with all this fundamental talk that I'm saying, well, there's your impetus to go learn. If you do understand that, well, you'll know that a dovish Federal Reserve or dovish Fed comments is essentially bullish for equities. So it's bullish for the stock market, it's bullish for gold, and it's bearish for the US dollar, right? So these dovish comments from the Fed hold a lot of weight. So as Jerome Powell is coming out with these Federal Reserve comments, and I'm tracking them, I'm using fundamental analysis, I know that these dovish comments will have a lot of weight, and they will impact gold to the upside. They will be a driving force for upside on gold. So using that sentiment right from fundamental analysis, it helps hone in and helps decide, okay, really I am looking for buys. I'm looking for buys, right? So it's essentially what I would say is using fundamental is like it's an additional confluence, if you will, right? We all know that traders love to use multiple confluences. Good traders use multiple confluences. And for me, fundamental analysis is an additional confluence, right? So in my study, I found that overall, I think the macroeconomic sentiment in the short term for gold is bullish based on the comments of Jerome Powell, based on the GDP figures. And I think we're going to see price continue bullish. And with that stance, I then look at technical analysis and I see, okay, I've got a bullish sentiment. I've got price coming into an order block level here. And, I do what I do and how I trade, right? And I look and I see price comes down to my level, rejects away, comes back down, pushes away again, and continues to fails to break lower, and then it ultimately pushes up, right? So essentially what I'm getting at here is to encapsulate this and to make sure this video is not too long, right? Fundamentals, no, they are not necessary to trade. You do not need them. Could I have taken this trade without fundamentals? Yes. But understanding fundamentals is a great way to give yourself a bias, to help yourself understand the sentiment, the direction, and to help take action on that accordingly. So I think fundamental analysis is a brilliant tool to aid and improve your trading, and understanding the macro economy and economic reports and the fundamentals in general will do nothing but benefit your trading, in my opinion, right? Now, with that being said, if the fundamentals aren't lining up with the technicals, there is no trade. I'm still a chart trader. I trade the charts. So if my setup isn't where my setup is, if I'm not seeing what I want to see, I will not take a trade. But the fundamentals gives me that confluence, gives me that confidence, allows me to hold a sentiment, hold a bias. So I would highly recommend, if you are a trader and you have not decided to do any fundamental analysis or understand anything about fundamentals, go out and learn as much as you can, and create a plan. For me, it's very simple. I create a economic report every single week where I go to Forex Factory and I look at all the major news releases, right? So look, prelim GDP, I do my own little analysis of it, okay? Then I look at the major news headlines of the week. And in this document, for example, I have the fundamentals in focus. What are the core fundamentals in focus? And these are just small tasks I do. This is my plan. I create this weekly outlook and these economic reports every single week, and they keep me on top of the fundamentals. And I pretty much just use Forex Factory and sometimes some other news outlets. It's that simple for me, right? I don't overcomplicate it. I keep it simple. I keep my understanding of fundamentals, just as that. That's it. And it works for me. It helps me a lot. So that's my tip for you. And I hope you find this information useful. So that's it for today. If you like this video, give a like, comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel, and check out our other socials, which will be linked in the bio. And there's plenty more content like this to come. So if you like it, subscribe and you'll see more content just like this. Anyways, best of luck, and thank you.